Do accountants charge you based, is it, you know what I'm saying, how do they
That's
charge?
what's really
accounting in general? Has that been something that you've worn the hat and done yourself?
But I guess I was asking him too many questions and he ghosted me. And I'm like,
Is entrepreneurship, is that the word? Is that cooked into somebody's DNA? Like, because I know it is to some degree.
it's cooked into mine.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying. But there are people like you who wake up and they go, I can't work for the man. I will never work for the man or the woman. I can't do that. I must pursue my own concerns, my own business. But really, can anybody, even if they're not born with that gene, be an entrepreneur? I mean, or is there, I mean, honestly, aren't there people who just are born to fail?
I think that by preference and what would actually bring people joy and fulfillment in their life, I don't think entrepreneurship is the right fit for everybody. I think some people are going to find more joy and fulfillment without the extra burden, without the extra weight and responsibility.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it took me 15 and a half years of struggle before I finally succeeded, not everyone can hack that.
Right.
But on the other hand, I do think that everyone could become an entrepreneur, and I think that there's a lot of lessons and benefits that can come from entrepreneurship. It's because there is so much learning from failure and pivoting and changing and adjusting. Like as an employee, a lot of times you don't get to do that. You don't get to be as creative. I know when I had that telemarketing job for a while, I saw some things that were falling through the cracks. I saw there was a lot of turnover, and I went to management with some suggestions, and they told me basically like, stay in your lane, like, thank you, but we know what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, but you don't, because that's how I am, right? You don't get to be as creative, and the systems are created for you, and you just run the system. I mean, I remember I was going back in my college days. I worked a temp job, and I was sitting at this machine, and these popsicles would come by, and I'm trying to remember, I think I had this action. I would put popsicles in a box or something, and I did this 8 hours. Boy, was I sore. But there's no creativity, there's no innovation. That's obviously an extreme example, but there's no problem solving. Like if the machine broke, it wasn't me that fixed it. And maybe over time it would be, I'd learned that stuff, I don't know. But like as an entrepreneur, you have to learn, you wear so many hats, from sales and marketing to bookkeeping to invoicing and collections, to product development and pricing, to web design, to logo, to any messaging, to public speaking, to fulfillment and keeping customers happy. I mean, you're handling everything, and you have to kind of create each system and then hire a person to run that system and create a system here, So it's a personal development program. Like I mean, you've got religion. I love religion, and that's an amazing personal development program. And next to religion, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is an amazing personal development program. I would propose that somebody would learn far more in a year of entrepreneurship than they would at the most intense university or something like that.
No question. Yeah.
So because it's hands-on, it's applicable.
Right. It's not just the academics, it's actual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't get me started, about the business school professors that have never actually held a job, but are making X amount of money and have tenure teaching others about how to run a business that they've never actually done. That's a whole other, that feels like you. Like that feels like an argument that you would make.
We've had that conversation.
Have we had that? Yeah. Now you talked about, you mentioned something that makes me think of finances. Accounts payable, accounts receivable, accounting in general. Mm-hmm. Has that been something that you've worn the hat and done yourself, or how is it now? Who does that?
That's something that I'm really having to jump through new hoops now, because my business is in a much more profitable level, where way more taxes than I made income before. Yeah. And I've been with a great accounting firm. I've been with them for over 20 years. When I used to do my door-to-door sales, I was referred to them, and they did such a great job. I paid way less taxes than all my summer sales buddies until I referred them there. But I've stayed with them all along the way. But now that I'm making more revenue and I need to kind of plan for the future, they're really good at looking at the numbers and just calculating, okay, this is what you've done, this is how much you have to pay. They can do that type of return. But as far as being strategic and moving forward, and they've also given me pushback. Like this shirt, I don't wear it other than when I'm on video. Like I don't take it home. I leave it here at the studio house. And so this shirt is a tax write-off.
Of course.
And my accountant, my former accountant, argues with me about that. And I'm like, I'll get an audit, whatever. But this shirt is a tax write-off. So there's just been pushback. So with accounting, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to have professional help.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that I had to learn. I've taken courses. I still don't know how to create a balance sheet. I let the accountants do that, but I know how to do a profit and loss. I can do that on my own. I do payroll on my own still.
Oh, you do? Mm-hmm. Oh, very good.
It's easier because I don't have to worry about, with independent contractors, I don't have to worry about withdrawing taxes or insurance or Social Security. I don't have to worry about any of that. So if and when I hire a first actual USA employee, I would not do that. I would let my accounting team do that.
So you would recommend, even at the early phases of a small business, that somebody connect with an accountant? And I mean, do accountants charge you based, is it, you know what I'm saying, how do they charge?
That's what's really weird. That's what's really weird. Sometimes I've gone to accountants, even just in this summer, I was talking to an accountant. He was giving me a lot of advice, forward-thinking planning. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to be great. Yeah. But I'm like, you haven't charged me $1. How do you make money? And he said, oh, well, when we do your returns, that's how we make our money. But I guess I was asking him too many questions, and he ghosted me. And I'm like, I offered to pay you for your time. So
you're getting under the covers of all the secrets of.
But he gave me a lot of great
CPAs.
advice, and then he ghosted me. So.
Well,
I'm currently interviewing three new CPAs, and they all seem pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm making my decision at the end of this week.
Wow. Please, I'll be waiting to hear. Why would anyone want to be an entrepreneur?
Because I can't see why people would not want to be one, but they obviously don't. Not everyone sees it the same way that I do. Yeah. So I love to be able to create, to innovate. I love control of my schedule. I love control of my income. And yes, it was a struggle for 15 and a half years, but even during those years, I just felt so purpose-driven. I felt like I was learning, I was growing as a person. So to be able to create, and there's no ceiling on my income. Like the income that I make now, I would not have even come close to being able to do that as a dentist. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of cons, and so I think that's why not everyone can hack it, or not even wants to attempt being an entrepreneur.
Like what?
Well, the 15 and a half years that I mentioned is a big one. It's a risk into the unknown. Instead of being hired into a company where you've got a guaranteed paycheck and you've got insurance covered or whatever, you know that at the end of the month, this is how much money you're going to make, this is my expenses, and so I can budget this. Yeah. An entrepreneur doesn't have a budget in the beginning. If you need more money, you just go and make more money. And
do you have to be all in?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in other words, could a person begin entrepreneurship partially, where, look, I still have my job, it still gives me insurance, I'm not sure that I can just pull a Nate and go 15 years. But I mean, how would you respond to someone who says, I want to do it part-time?
I would say join an MLM, and I'm serious about that. Like
MLM meaning multi-level marketing,
or direct sales is the more kosher.
Pyramid, okay.
So, but really, the reality is you can learn the ropes. Cut your teeth, cut a rug.
Cut your teeth.
Cut your teeth. You could get experience.
Cut a rug's a thing, it's dancing.
It's different.
Yeah.
You can get experience. You can learn sales. You can start to make income. You can learn leadership. I recommend it. I'm not recommending any specific one.
Now you're saying
I'm not a part of any.
Literally not to be hired by an MLM, but to be one of the downline
join
consultant owner, whatever they call them.
Start putting on parties in your home.
Really? Because of the education
because you can still have your job. And it's like the system is already created, and you can start to learn the ropes.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would have been able to successfully run my business or even begin and survive had I not had those 6 years in World Financial Group. Where else would I have learned that? I didn't know anything about money or management or sales. I knew door-to-door sales, but I didn't know telemarketing or any of that other stuff. So I actually do recommend it. I think if you've got a job and you want to start a business on the side, like, it just needs so much attention. You're wearing so many hats.
Right.
If you're doing the product development and the fulfillment and the sales, it's just, how can you do that part-time? I mean, if you don't have a family, maybe that's possible, like, or you don't pay attention to them because you got a full-time job and a full-time business. But I know in the early days, my business took more than 40 hours a week, so.
Yeah. Do you find that the group of people that surround you now, friends or otherwise, are different?
I've had to like find people to celebrate with, like, hey, can I celebrate with you?
He's a goof. He's a mean-spirited, rude idiot.